wash my soul in the ocean, in the tears of God, I let it go.
May 2022 video horoscopes with me, Lada from Astrolada.com. May is eclipse season. There will be some crises that are happening in our lives, some big reversals, but like with everything eclipses, those reversals can create powerful new opportunities in our lives. I had such a crisis right before the eclipse, and my YouTube channel with 300,000 followers was deleted, hacked and deleted, and YouTube refuses to restore it, which is a great opportunity to create the vision I've had for some times, because something had to push me to make a channel just with my own videos that is pure astrology with my teaching and occasional teacher, astrologer who is my guest. Plus, this pushed me to start an Astrolada streaming service, which we're in the process of creating, where you can access all the videos independent of any platforms and big players, as you can see how they can delete your life in a second if they want. But I'm excited for this because it will be devoid of the vibrations of whatever it is, but we're still gonna use YouTube to attract new followers. And please subscribe to that YouTube channel if you're using YouTube or whatever you're watching, Facebook or Instagram. Follow me, and I'll be posting here. We'll restore some of the old videos as well, which is great, the tutorial videos, and I have new rubrics, new monthly exciting astrology projects that I'll be doing. And by the way, if you want to still join me on my course in May the 4th, it starts. It will be live for 6 weeks. I'll be teaching foundational astrology, how to interpret the natal charts, the techniques that are very simple but extremely insightful. There is an installment plan if you can't afford to pay it just once. So, new beginning. Let's begin with eclipse seasons. A lot of us will be having new beginnings. Please take it as opportunities, not just as crises. Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising, May 2022. Well, the first 2 weeks of the month Taurus, it's after the new moon in your sign. Actually, it's kind of like semi-eclipse. It's a partial eclipse. So some very, let's say, fated events might be happening, especially the first 2 weeks of the month till the other eclipse in the opposite sign. So this month is very intense for Tauruses. And Taurus, it's like, because it was a new moon eclipse at the beginning in your sign, the first 2 weeks is about new beginnings that can really redirect you in a totally new direction in your life, that can feel a bit shocking, a bit sudden, because it happened, this eclipse with Uranus, out of the blue developments within the first 2 weeks, but very renewing as well, and very excitable, and they bring something new. Because it was with Rahu, the eclipse on 30th of May, it's with Rahu, but 30th of April, but you're going to feel it very intensely. New, powerful beginnings for you, happening almost like the whole month, but especially the first 2 weeks. But let's continue like more from the beginning of the month. Venus enters your 12th house on May the 3rd, where it's you. Wherever Venus goes, it's you. It's temporary staying there only for about 25 minutes, 2 minutes, days. But it does mean that you're going to have some focus on this 12th house there. And what does it mean? Definitely it can indicate a beautiful holiday for some of you. 12 houses to rest, to take time for you to escape, to pamper your soul more. And it rules things like hotels, spas, retreats, foreign holidays, foreign places, and Venus is pleasant things. So if you have opportunity to go somewhere abroad, or even to rest more, to have massages, spa, and such things, do it. It's kind of going to be good for your soul. But at the same time, you can delve a little bit during May in things that you really enjoy privately. And that can be like reading books or watching shows, and you're going to derive a lot of pleasure out of it. But also is the hidden vices. Sometimes it can increase the tastes and the desires to indulge in our vices. Is it having more wine than normal? Is it, I don't know, drinking or smoking more? Or is it indulging in some other things? I don't know, whatever it is, your thing. And sometimes even it can indicate for some of you like private desires. The 12th house rules bed pleasures, and Venus there, it can improve the intimacy, what you do in your bed, in your private time. It can be more affectionate. Some of you can experience more intimacy, more, kind of magical connection of some sort. So that's some of the things you can do as well. And escapism, of course. Or you can enjoy just reading more mysteries or mystical texts or more spiritual things or matters of such kind. They can be very enjoyable, diving into such things. Then we continue with Mercury going retrograde here in your second house, Taurus, from May the 10th, and will be retrograde in your second house till May the 24th, which means that you might be revising your finances. So you might be rebudgeting for some reason. You might need to change something financially. Something can come up that you have to reorganize things there, materially, financially. Also, on a positive level, if you're expecting some money already to be paid for you, or some finances or something that's owed to you, it can come back to you. Something you've lost, you can find it as well. But also for other possessions, you have to be a bit careful when Mercury is retrograde in the second house, that they don't get displaced. Usually you might find them when it goes direct. And with some valuables, with matters concerning possessions, you might have to rearrange something with banks, with moving money around. But I would advise you, while Mercury is retrograde in your second house, then don't take financial risk with something totally new, for example. And also it can make you re-examine your taste for food and your taste for fashion and your taste for art and beauty, to re-examine it, or see it from a different perspective, and change maybe materials you use for art or for your business, or or such kind of stuff. Then another important thing is, that's a huge one, Jupiter is entering the 12th house, Aries. It kind of becomes hidden for you then, guys. Might be more helpful when it was in Pisces, but it will be in Aries till almost the end of the year, for 6 months, for May the 10th. But which means that this 12th house becomes huge and very important for you for the next 6 months. And the 12th house is the house of dreams. You can have some very powerful, vivid, colorful dreams starting from May the 10th onwards, that give you clarity, that almost like have messages, divine messages from your higher self for you, that can help you rework some traumas as well in the dream life. Often we do that. Some unprocessed emotions and feelings, we process them in the dream life by experiencing them very acutely, usually from your childhood or early adolescence happens, and you gain more clarity and you're able to release it. So for the next 6 months, Jupiter will be a great help for you releasing traumas from the past, by understanding, or by divine grace almost, healing addictions, healing attachments that have finished. And because 12th house is the house of endings, and when Venus will be there helping you already in May, but with Jupiter and giving you some dreams, sexual dreams. I just had Venus transiting my 12th house from the Sun. But when Jupiter enters there, you might even receive real messages from departed loved ones, from guardian angels, more symbology. There'll be a lot more symbologies around you that you notice that this is Jupiter in the 12th house. Don't speak with voice, they speak with symbols. And you have to be able to understand what the symbols mean for you. Pay attention. Is it numbers? Is it animals? Is it presentiments? When Jupiter gives very positive presentiments about the future, but they are usually correct when it's in the 12th house. And feelings of, what's about to come. Plus, Jupiter can make you very interested in researching something over the next 6 months. So this will be a fantastic time if you're doing a PhD and researching, or if you need to spend more time alone preparing for something, digging deep. I, for example, went crazy with spiritual podcasts and listening constantly. Well, Jupiter was in my 12th house for the last 5 months, 4 months or something. I was constantly listening to podcasts about spirituality, about the psychology, about um, overcoming addictions and attachments and so on. And it's been very insightful. It might not be much happening on the outside when Jupiter is in your 12th house, in a very, Jupiterian in a sense, but it's like internal magic, like alchemical process when it's in the 12th house. By deep realizations that Jupiter brings there, whether through learning or sudden realizations, you're able to release trauma, you're able to have deeper understanding and more spiritual connection, more spiritual understanding about the invisible worlds of some sort. And even learning something like astrology or something more spiritual uh, goes a long way when Jupiter is in the 12th house, because of the deep, almost intuitive understanding and ability to connect with mysteries and things that are not so tangible, and to understand them. Some of the deepest understanding and insights that I had astrologically always happen when Jupiter is in the 12th house. Um, and even some predictions that come to you, some incredible psychic readings, astrological readings you can have now, or some incredible, that are very correct, peeks into the invisible world. Plus, it's inspirational when Jupiter is in the 12th house. People that work in 12th house environments will see a lot of growth and progress. So if you work in hospitals and prisons, if you're a nurse, if you're someone who takes care for orphans, children, for refugees of any sort, you can have a huge kind of like very, I remember when Jupiter was in the 12th house from my ascendant. That's for the first time when I got involved in charity, and I was really, that was charity for me to help children and schools. And for some of you, it can be such, either you doing charity work, getting involved financially, helping refugees, helping people in need. It will just come spontaneously, not because you want to do points for heaven, or because you want to, because you feel it, you know. And also you can have some hidden support from someone. Plus it can allow you and open gates for you. Now let's speak more on the material level of, oh, and also if you're in any career that you're a psychic healer, if you're someone who is a artist that has to spend time isolated in the artistic studio alone, Jupiter in the 12th house gives, like, you can download a lot of inspirations, then visions, and progress in your work. Or if you work in traveling industry, like cruise liners, like far away, like some kind of islands, being in islands, or if you're in any spiritual practices or work, again, there will be growth, there will be expansion for you. Well, for people that are not such fields, they can feel like that they enjoy more alone time for 6 months, not constantly, but that they find a lot of joy, because Jupiter is joy-giving planet, from a long time, from being with, from researching some spiritual matters, from digging deep in depth, from psychological work, resolving traumas, reading about mysteries, reading about psychology, reading about astrology, reading about spirituality, mystics, and so on. And you can really get some great insights through that. You won't see immediately results, but it's like your soul is being prepared, and Jupiter is feeding your soul when it's in your 12th house. So any such kind of spiritual activities, more time in nature, more time isolated, more time sleeping. For more basic people, if I consider myself quite basic as well, I was sleeping 12 hours. Jupiter is still in my 12th house from the sun, so I was like getting so much joy from sleeping, because I was having those crazy dreams, and quite, because because they would be a lot of them very similar. I would see where my issues were and trying to understand it. So interesting, but internal work. And for others, it will give you access to foreign countries, gains from faraway places, maybe revealing of certain secrets, more mystical experience for some of you, stronger intuition, stronger connection to invisible realities of some sort. Yeah, I can speak for hours, but let's carry on with the other things. Then we have an eclipse. Now, Jupiter, you might think, oh, subtly in this 12th house, you might feel, but the eclipse in your 7th house, guys, it's gonna rock your world, especially for A bit later born Tauruses, 25 degrees is where the eclipse is happening in the opposite sign in Scorpio. So if your sun, moon, or ascendant are from 20 to 30 degrees in Taurus, you're going to feel it quite strongly. And the eclipse of the lunar eclipse, the earlier Tauruses might also feel the ripples, but not so intensely. So some big change can be happening in your relationships or through others. A person in your life with a partner, business partner, another important family member, it's a lunar eclipse, some big shift or change in their life can happen. It's not necessarily negative, but it can be something that is kind of a bit stressful. Saturn also participates there. It's squaring that eclipse. So there might be the need to overcome certain hoops. Even if there's some crisis in your relationships with others, partners, clients, one-to-one people, there is a lot of support to this eclipse from Neptune, from Mars, from Pluto and Capricorn. So there are ways to resolve it. Because Saturn is squaring it, it might be something that it will take longer time to resolve or to deal with, or you have to put more efforts and consistency, but there's a lot of support, especially through forgiveness, Neptune energy, through Pisces, kindness. And there is also the possibility of something coming to a completion in your relationships, releasing certain clients, releasing certain project that you've been doing with another, especially in collaboration with another, you might see the results of it. An eclipse in the 7th can also mean, because it's with Ketu, something finishing, ending, releasing it. You might be ending a project you've been doing with someone over the next 3 months, seeing its results. You might be ending a relationship. You might be ending a partnership. You might be ending a client or some obligation you have to another person. You might be releasing it on a positive level. Because Ketu is a moksha planet. Scorpio is a moksha sign, liberation, release. And full moon is about something coming to a completion, to a peak, releasing it, letting go of it, some obligation to another, some contract that might have been more burdensome. And even if you don't think it's burdensome now and you're releasing some relationship, believe me, when within 3 months you would realize it was toxic for you or it was too stagnant, because it might feel like you were, sorry about that, you might feel like it was, especially if you're in a toxic contract or environment or some kind of situation with another person, this can be a liberation for you. Even if it feels painful, it will allow you to release it. And on another level, sometimes eclipses in the 7th house can even bring the next step of a relationship, for example, taking the next step up. Okay, so next thing is then we have Mercury retrograde entering into your sign, because it's moving backwards from the 2nd house. I told you we'll be dealing with some values, material, financial things, resolutions. It's entering back into your sign, guys, and it will stay there for till probably the middle of June, I don't know, till it turns direct after that. So May 24th, especially and it will be the last 5 degrees of Taurus. From 25 to 30 degrees, you'd feel it very strongly. You might be doing some mercurial projects. Again, it might be involved with money, because Mercury rules your 2nd house, rearranging something, valuables. Mercury also rules your 5th house. It might be some important conversations with children that you're doing, with loved ones, with partners, love relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend, that you have to re-examine, change the rules of those relationships, fix them somehow, or some creative project that you might come back to you to rechange, to fix, or some important realizations you have in regards to your love life, in regards to some creativity. But Mercury generally means that you will need to focus your attention and your skills, because Mercury is skills, Mercury is communication. You might have some important communication, writing, speaking project that you have to edit, to fix, educational project or training projects to put extra energy into, or to do it a bit more differently, from a different perspective, because you discover that there is a better way or something is not working in it. Plus you can hear more from past boyfriends, girlfriends. Mercury has the rule of the 2nd house. And plus see others. Mercury is others, contacts come back into your life you haven't spoken with. you connect with them, or maybe you bring back, or someone else in your life brings back something from the past to be discussed, something that's been buried under the carpet, something that you've maybe been keep sitting on, and if it's been upsetting you or upsetting someone else in your life, it will be brought out so you can discuss it, hopefully solve it, fix something about it, or just eliminate it. Sometimes Mercury retrograde in our sign is when we can eliminate some people from our life because they're no longer necessary, because Mercury is a social planet, so it might be friends, we might clear up your social media a bit, you might colleagues, people in your everyday environment, you might have to solve some crisis with siblings, relatives, but it's usually not such a big drama, but you can find out something about important people in your life, that kind of something that happened in the past that needs to be discussed now, and that makes you reevaluate, the relationship. Plus, again, as I said, you might be really asked to use a lot of your skills of communication, writing, speaking, more concentrated power, and maybe putting finishing touches and fixing such projects, mercurial ones. All right, so that's it, guys. These are the most important things for you. I think the eclipse is probably the eclipse at the beginning of the month in your sign that we talked about, the eclipse at the end of at the middle of the month, and of course Venus changing signs. So thank you so much, and it's a more intense month for you, but very happening and some big life changes ahead. So bye bye.